Awesome. Now let's give Andre something he can bite on.
All right, Andre. What kind of shadows you dealing with? What's the shadow side of Andre?
Like just like you mentioned, Jameson, like I was bullied like all the time, just shunned from all of my peers growing up in elementary school. A lot of it surrounding religion, because I was not really that I wasn't really tied to that with my immediate family. I would be really vitriolic towards religion because in my mind it didn't work out, and that was the type of people that kind of fucked me over, and just the double standard that they have in society. Just because you go to church every day doesn't fucking mean you're a better person than me, and I have actions behind my words to prove it.
The desire to shake your fist at God, and all of that's really dark. Jung said, well, the human shadow extends all the way down to hell. And he really meant that, because all the terrible things that people are motivated to do are associated with that shadow domain. And like, none of you are saints in any likelihood. You have a terrible capacity for destructiveness. And when you start to consult your resentment and to see how angry you are, it can terrify you to see the depths of that anger. Sometimes that'll manifest itself in very destructive fantasies,
Jameson,
Yeah.
I have a few clues here, and let's come up with a challenge together, but I'll tell you what I'm feeling. So, Andre, the few things that I felt some visceral energy from you is when you mentioned religion and church. I already know about your vocals and how demonic you are. Okay. Let's put the three together. I want you to go to a church where they're having a ceremony. And again, this is no disrespect to any religion. This is just our practice, what we do. I want you during the ceremony, during the singing or whatever part happens, I want you to get up from your chair, go in the middle, and sing your demonic vocals to the whole crowd, to the whole group.
All right. Like, one of the things with screaming is some people don't know what the fuck you're saying. I would definitely have no problem going up and, really angrily expressing, even maybe to the point of screaming. I'd probably be so nervous my voice will crack. And, it is the Mormon church, and they do pretty much own Utah. But, damn, dude, I hope I can find a time, like maybe if it's even young men's or something that I can interrupt, because it is Sunday. A lot of people maybe are literally done. I would have to look up the times of the wards, whatever the fuck. But I accept your challenge.
So, after accepting that challenge and realizing that I needed to get this done, I, like 15 minutes into hearing some of my other peers' challenges, realized, how am I going to do this? And I didn't know where to start in terms of finding a church service, but sure enough on Google, it showed one at a location near me, just down the street, near a park I would go to frequently. And sure enough, I went there, and that's where this next part of the story will pick off. Here we go.
What's up, guys? So I am at this ward here. It's the only one that had a meeting this late in the day. It's like about 1 o'clock right now, and I have like 4 minutes to get into church. I'm gonna go in and kind of just explain how I feel. I'm really nervous. There's a lot of old people, and I hope that I don't get arrested, because this is Mormonville, Utah, after all. Doc issued this challenge to me literally probably 45 minutes ago, and there's no other time that I can really do it legitimately. I'm not going to scream, partially because people won't be able to hear what I say. You guys maybe know even like protesters that really just yell, like half the time you can't hear what the fuck they're even saying. So I'm just gonna go up there and kind of just express some anger or feelings that I have. And I guess you guys are going to come along for the ride. All right. So first off, I was definitely in doing, action mode more so than thinking. And in that, walking into the building, people definitely looked at me. They definitely knew I was not a regular here. And in some ways, it looked like they were prejudging me, which was something I was actually trying to harness and drum up anger about. And so while I was sitting there, I was like, okay, when am I going to have to do this? Do I just stand up right where I am and just do the thing, or what? And in that moment, I realized the type of meeting it was. I was actually told after was like a fast and testimony meeting where people can actually go up to the lectern and, bear their testimony in my, in my estimate. So it actually turned out perfect in that way. But as I was sitting there, I was just trying to drum up as much anger as I could and think about all of the times that I was hurt and wronged. And, through this very concerted effort in trying to be angry and mad about something, I ended up hearing, because the person that was speaking and started the meeting, they were paying respects to someone in the ward that had passed away just that last week, apparently. And it really set me straight and realized that these are people with feelings and they have a bunch of shit that goes on in their life that, they can't control. And, in that same moment, I'm like, what am I actually trying to do here? Like, what impact do I want to leave on people? And is it worth, just putting that anger out that I had back as a kid? Like, I don't want to spread that. And that was really the moment in my conclusion after trying to drum up hate as much as possible. I'm just like, why am I actually doing this? Like, questioning it, because I know that past and I know how much it hurt, but there's that other side of me that's facing that shadow and that dark side. And I realized I don't want to do that to these people. These are real people with feelings, and that's not who I want to become, because I'm just ending up just as bad as the people that put all of that hurt and hate on me. And that's not what I want to do here. So you'll see, you'll hear the recording when I had my phone in my pocket. I walked up to the lectern, and I'm going to try and salvage audio, put in the captions and whatever that I'm saying that's coherent. I'm sure I rambled like crazy, so we'll see. But that's really where I'm coming from, and I'll show you guys the rest of my experience. Here we go.
My name is Andre Bettinson, and it's been a while since I've set foot in a the last time was when my cousin had passed away. And it's really difficult. I have a lot of wounds from my upbringing. I'm so sorry. But growing up, I grew up in Bountiful. You guys may know, like Centerville, just north of Salt Lake. And really criticized because my parents didn't really bring us up in church. Being on my extended family list and was very active, I was really just living as an outcast, and it was really difficult to overcome those things. And growing up, I was, of course, hateful in some fashion towards those people, but now I realize that like those are just the people and the kind of issues that they need to overcome as well. And I just came here. I just wanted to say coming here was a good experience. And I really enjoyed this congregation in which that I had that kind of atmosphere growing up because it was really hard. But just being here, I enjoy all of you guys' company. And sure, I probably got a few odd looks because I'm not a familiar face here. But I just live up the street. I just wanted to come and say, you guys, I really appreciate everything that you're talking about, and I can see that you guys are living the life that you should be. And I don't actually know what happened, and I feel so sorry about what happened last week, but I just wanted to come up and share the fact that I felt really strongly about this, and this is a trial and a challenge for me to come up here. I've had a lot of, I was a shy kid because I was beaten down in elementary school, and I just wanted to say thank you all, and I wish you the best.
So, I just got out of the church, and yeah, this isn't the reaction you probably thought. It's not what I thought would happen. I think with this dark side thing, I really have dealt with my quips with religion. I just wanted to kind of be vulnerable to you as well as them. I just went up and spoke. But it's one thing to have a dark side and you need to express it, stand up for yourself. But it's another thing to place that hate and place that dark side and that awareness. And my place for it is not just people that are trying the best that they can with the trials and tribulations that they have. It's different than that, and right now this guy's kind of coming after me, so we'll see what goes up. Yeah.
Never alone. So what brought you up? It was my mentor had told me to come here and just express my.
I came out to find you also. I really appreciated your work, and you broke my heart. What am I here to help?
Oh, it's okay. I'm working on it with my therapist, but he recommended that I come here and just express how I felt. And, things were really difficult growing up, but
It's okay, though.
It's okay. I'm still working on it, but
We all are.
Yeah.
No matter where we are in life. Where do you live?
I live just up.
I would like to get to know you and your friends. And welcome you.
I really appreciate it. It's just something I'm working on my own, so it's gonna have to be really
Understand.
And a lot of it is just me still dealing with the fact those people have issues just like I do, and you shouldn't blame a group, just a couple people.
I didn't grow up in a typical Mormon family and all that stuff, and we all go through trials and stuff, and if there's anything I could do, I've been a life coach for over 25 years.
Alright guys, well, I don't know how much of that you heard, but the bishop's wife had come out, and along with another guy, and he had just came out to be nice, I guess. Sure, I have hate for the hate is a strong word. I fucking hate the fact that so many people get taken advantage of as part of organized religion. I didn't want to put hate on those people because that's what happened to me. Like why would I want to prolong that within other people, you know? I just wanted to share this with you guys, and I'm sorry this video is so fucking long, but I think it was a good experience. Honestly, I'll never be able to believe this organized religion. That doesn't mean that the people that came out just barely to console me, that doesn't mean that they're fake, necessarily. My life is not, I'm not trying to make people unhappy and spread hate towards people. I could so easily have just gone right up there and expressed anger, but I do have empathy towards people. And I realize that my hate is the system, it's not people. This is Andre signing out. Peace. Glad I didn't get arrested. And I'm glad I was able to express emotion that I had.
All right, so that all happened. This whole challenge was based on encountering your dark side, and your shadow is what it's called in Jungian psychology. So I'm going to post some details on that and, you know, what that means. So hopefully you can kind of look at some darker sides of yourself to understand why there's evil in the world and come to a resolve. A lot of us, especially now, things end up being so dehumanized and we can't see the humanity in others because the mediums that we, you know, converse through or see people through just does not lend to that human connection ultimately. You know, even when I was getting off of the lectern and leaving out the back of the church, there were people that reached their hand out, like, and I ended up shaking their hand, and this was maybe about 3 or 4 different people that were just sitting on the ends of the aisles, and, you know, of course, the couple people that came out to just console me and talk to me. So I really think at the end of the day, we should be able to see people as people and the humans that they are. And I think the world would be a much better place if we were able to keep that in mind. So this was my encounter with that dark side, that shadow that I had grown up with, and really kind of squashing it in a lot of ways. I mean, I have outlets like music, like it was mentioned, like my band and the lyrics that I write and all that type of stuff. It's a good outlet to kind of deal with it a little bit. But at the end of the day, where am I directing that? You know, you have to ask yourself these kinds of questions. I'm going to put some clips of Jordan Peterson or something talking about the shadow, and hopefully you guys can look deep in on yourself and hopefully find some kind of epiphany for yourself. It was really a crazy experience, and for a lot of the people that might be wondering how this challenge even, you know, what's the point of it, all these stupid challenges, it's literally brain rewiring, because you have all this emotion tied to things, and even if something just looks to be, you know, from your viewer's eye, nothing that's meaningful to anyone, that emotion and that process and being put in an uncomfortable position can definitely rewire your brain. So, you know, this is just the psychology nerd in me, but you know, don't discount people's experiences to a huge point. You know, this stuff really works if you're able to actually follow through and do it. And therapy and all that type of stuff does not come easy. It's not a quick fix, but this was definitely a good, you know, polishing down of kind of a hard edge that I had towards people, you know, and I realized in that moment I didn't want to direct it towards people. So that's all I wanted to say, and we'll talk soon. Hope you guys enjoyed. Peace.
He believes that the pathway to completion as a human being is through the embodiment of the monster.
Embodiment of the monster.
That's the discovery of the shadow. The morality comes when you're a monster and you can control it. And that's the Jungian encounter with the shadows. Now, the shadow would be all the parts of the personality that the persona rejects. And that might be the aggressive elements. Certainly that's the case for people who are hyper-agreeable. There's two pathways to the development of the shadow, and they're tightly allied with one another. The fundamental pathway is truth, and that's to face the bitter truth about yourself. But to break that down more particularly, you might think about that as the capacity to observe your own resentment. You're going to be resentful and bitter in many situations because you don't get what you want. And if you watch that resentment and bitterness, you'll see that it produces fantasies that can be unbelievably dark. And that can be very frightening, and you might not want to admit to yourself that you're actually capable of having fantasies like that, or impulses like that, or aggressive feelings like that. But the thing is that if those aggressive feelings and impulses and fantasies are integrated into your character, it's like you're opening up a dialogue with a part of yourself that can be very forceful and strong and dangerous. And it's really useful to be dangerous, because if you can be dangerous, you often don't have to be. And it's often weak people. For example, it's weak men, generally speaking, who rape. You know, that's a very, very common occurrence, and that's a violent act, but it's born out of weakness, not out of strength, that's for sure. And so, anyways, you attend to your resentment honestly, and you observe yourself and what you're actually like. You got to pay attention as if you don't know yourself, as if you might harbor hidden devils, and then maybe they'll emerge. Now, Jung also felt that sort of embedded inside the shadow were the contrasexual tendencies. And so, for example, sometimes you see people who are well-developed, men, let's say, and we can also talk about women in this regard. Men who've integrated their shadow often also develop a kind of peculiar grace that would be a consequence of not only allowing their aggressive side to step forward, but also their feminine and compassionate side that they may have kept squelched because of embarrassment about it, or because they'd been harassed for being weak, or any number of things. So, but the practical approach for developing your shadow, I would say, is to contemplate and consider your resentment and notice what it says. And because your resentment will also tell you what you have to say. You know, so look at what happened at Google this weekend. You know, James Damore wrote that memo, and you can imagine he was pretty angry and perhaps even somewhat resentful at having to attend that diversity seminar. And I'm really just using this as an example. But what he did was decide that meant that he had something that he had to say, and then look at the consequences of that, man. It's absolutely unbelievable. And so, you know, if you're feeling oppressed at work, or you're oppressed in your life, or you're oppressing yourself, then you got to notice that you're feeling oppressed. Then you have to notice that you're feeling resentful and angry and bitter, and maybe even like Cain in the story of Cain and Abel, because Cain is sort of the archetypal bitter man. And then you have to decide what it is that you need to do in order to remove from yourself that bitterness. And that usually means that there's something that you have to say. And then you have to say it because your soul depends on it. And not only does your soul depend on it, I would say the fate of the world depends on it. Because, you know, you might be wrong, and then you should be straightened out. Maybe you're just being whiny and you have to talk to somebody about that. But it may be that you're actually detecting something wrong, some tyranny that's directed towards you and other people, and it's like your moral obligation to speak up about it. And so many workplaces become toxic, to use a terrible cliche, because the people in them won't speak up for what they actually want, or they speak up too late, and then they're all twisted up about it, and you know, they're torturing other people because they're so unhappy, and so forth and so on. So practical approach for developing your shadow fundamentally is radical honesty. And Jung said that, you know, a genuine moral effort was a good substitute for psychotherapy.